Hi, good afternoon. My name is Megan Ellsworth, returning for another interview for Roofer of the Month. And this month we have Jeff Guthrie of Phoenix Roofing Contractors. Hi, Jeff.
Hey there, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, my name is Jeff Guthrie. I am a project manager for Phoenix Roofing Contractors. I'm also part owner of Phoenix Roofing Contractors, and Phoenix Roofing Contractors is pretty much a subsidiary, if I'm using that technical term right, of ProWest Roofing, which is which is a roofing company here in the valley that's been in business since 2002. So what, 19 years now, and we do a lot of residential roof replacements as well as commercial roof replacements, and we also have a general contracting license, which means that we can pretty much facilitate and coordinate all things trades, as nuanced as you can get. And yeah, so we're kind of roofing is specifically my wheelhouse, but we also do we've sort of broken ground in the remodeling space. We've done a number of those projects recently, and then your basic restoration stuff, whether it's water mitigation or mold remediation or asbestos, or even just the simple stuff like drywall, patch and paints, insulation stuff, you name it. We've pretty much got it covered here.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Well, that pretty much answers my next question, which was what type of services does your company provide? Out of those, what do you think is your like specialty?
I would have to say that we're best versed on all things roofing, but not specifically roofing, because this is sort of like how I think of it. There's a lot of great roofing contractors out there, and I certainly think that Phoenix Roofing Contractors is amongst the best in the valley. Okay, but
Yeah.
which is enough of a service in and of itself to be really proud about and to do really good work and really be successful. But I think what we sort of have, which is sort of like a, I don't know, like a unicorn or something like that, something that really stands outside of the norm, is that we have been able to, over the years, get really good at specifically insurance restoration. And here's what I mean at good at.
Mm.
We get a windstorm, we get a hailstorm, and water comes in with the wind, because typically wind is accompanied with rain, and there's leaking, and somebody calls us and say, hey, can you come and take a look at our roof? And we're maybe the third guy out there to go and to to give them a bid on the job. And we're like, well, geez, I mean, yeah, it's going to be 10 grand, let's just say 10 grand. um, or I mean, this is wind damage, clear cut, or it's textbook hail damage or what have you. Your
Mm.
insurance company should really take care of this for you, and you save the money, you pay your $1,000 deductible. And most people are like, I've been the third guy to bid so many roofs, and the only guy and the only guy to mention the fact that their insurance company would foot the bill when the damage is there. That's a coverable loss. And I don't know why that is. I've sort of developed a theory over the years, and the theory is that either most contractors don't know, and so it's just plain ignorance, which is fine. No one knows everything. Um,
Right.
and then B is a little bit more sketchy, perhaps, is that people do know, but they'd rather not deal with the insurance company because they end up having to wait longer for the checks, as opposed to when you're doing cash work, you
Mm.
get the 50% down, and then you get the remaining balance as soon as the job is done, essentially. And so whether it's one of the two or a combination of both, I don't know. But the bottom line is, it's good enough to be a good roofing contractor with a warranty that you actually service, that you answer when the client calls you, et cetera, and so on. You do a good product and good warranty, et cetera. It's a whole other thing, and I think it's much more valuable to then be able to sort of marry that service with the ability to know the nuance of the insurance restoration. And over the years, I mean, we probably have saved our clients I mean, well, we did 32 million in revenue last year, and 90% of that was insurance restoration. So, I mean, we've saved our clients a whole crap load of money, and it's because we know the nuance of the insurance restoration process. And so that, though, if that helps answer the question, I was long-winded, but there you have it.
I love it. No, I think that's great. And you're helping educate homeowners and letting them know that, if this ever happens again, they're not in the dark. I think that's great.
It's I think it's a very valuable skill in this field. Now, if the damage isn't there, that's relative to wind or hail or water or whatever, then obviously there's no claim. But if it's there, I'm a firm believer that you tell people, a prospective client, tell them what their options are and let them choose. And sometimes people say, no, I don't want to deal with insurance. And everybody has this, misconception that their rates are going to increase, which is really it's generally untrue. I mean, and by generally, I mean the vast majority of the time for a no-fault claim, it's not only is it not true, but it's actually illegal in some states for insurance companies to specifically penalize somebody by virtue of increasing their rates for an active nature claim, for a no-fault claim. So it really doesn't happen as much as people sort of have an idea that it happens. But furthermore, if they choose not to do it, great, whatever. Here's my price, and I can be really competitive on cash. But if you want to save, my brother and I just did an apartment complex out in Peoria for a property management client of ours. It's a $1.3 million claim. And
Oh, wow, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, they could have probably paid, to some guy that, if there's a warranty issue, in 2 years or something like that, the guy's not going to answer his phone. They could have probably done the work for, 1.1 or something like that. But the bottom line is these folks didn't have the money to spend on the new roofs, and they needed new roofs. And luckily for them, and I guess luckily for us, a windstorm came, a monsoon. We call them monsoons here in Phoenix, and it ripped the crap out of the shingles, and the rest is history,
Yeah, yeah. I think that's great. Well, kind of also going along those lines, as that's kind of your unicorn, your niche specialty, which I love. Why don't you share something special that your company celebrates? And that can be something you do with your employees, or how you bid on a job, or maybe a belief you have in the office. What's something that you all celebrate?
So here's my belief, and I think that my brother and I, we're partners, and we work sort of in tandem with each other. We split everything 50-50, and whether
I
it's
love
the
that.
labor or the profit or whatever. And my biggest thing is, and I think that this goes probably for every space, but I think it's especially true for the contracting and the tradesman space, if you will. It's that you can separate yourself from, I want to say 90, but I think realistically it's probably more like 99% of your competition. And this is, I almost feel like I could write a book about this, but it's like there wouldn't be enough content to fill a book. It's like one sentence. It's like, if you do what you say you're going to do, you answer your phone, you respond to texts and emails, and if you tell somebody you're gonna be there at 10 o'clock to look at their roof, get there at 10 o'clock. Don't get there at 11 or the next day and say, oh, sorry, or call it rather at 11 and say, hey, sorry, something came up, I can't be there till Thursday now. I mean, that stuff doesn't work for people in general. Furthermore, if you tell somebody that you're going to have an estimate, let's say somebody wants an estimate on something, I'll have it to you within 72 hours, and 11 days from the time you said 72 hours, they're still waiting for it, and they have to hunt you down to get it. That's a problem. So my brother and I think even more me than even him to some extent, is I'm a little bit like obsessive with note taking and making sure that I get to certain things in the time frame that I tell people that I will. And I think that one of the reasons why we've been so successful is because of that sort of thing. So we definitely celebrate that. We celebrate the fact that for instance, we had a big rainstorm here last Monday, the 25th of January. A lot of winds, a lot of rains, right? Which we don't get a lot of rain in Phoenix. So, sometimes there's leaks. And look, here's the thing. People say, oh, a roofer that says he's got leaks. Any roofer that tells you that they've never had a leak is a liar. You can't roof. I mean, we're roofing 50 roofs a week, 52 weeks a year, right? I mean, do the math. You can't roof that many roofs in a year and never have a leak. Well, we got some calls because we had some rain come in the last week. And guess what? We've got some calls. And instead of, what I'm trying to say, we service our warranties. Somebody has a leak, we're out there. We're out there the next day, and guess what? If there's interior damage because of the leak on a roof that we installed, the interior damage is covered as well. I'm not talking about a claim, like an insurance claim. I'm talking just under our warranty. If there's flooring that's damaged, guess who's footing the bill for the new flooring? We are. I don't care if it takes out a freaking pool table or a couch, we're paying for it. And that's just how now there's a different, and this is, part of the sort of hurdle that we've got to overcome with some, like, for instance, we just got sort of vetted by, well, not sort of, that's exactly what it was, by this property management company. And they're like, they've got a myriad of a laundry list of questions. And one of them was, what about your warranty and so on and so forth. And I finally it's almost like, I can't prove to you that we're going to service our warranty. Nobody can, because that's something that right now that has to unfold organically. In the future, you have an issue and you know that I'm going to be there because you call me and I answer the phone, and next day I've got my guys out there or whatever it is. But you're going to have to some extent take a leap of faith with me. And for this one particularly, we provided, I think, a dozen past references. We ended up getting the job. They want to work with us. Great. But the point is that, there's a lot of roofing contractors. Maybe they've got billboards on the highways out here, or whatever. You see them on TV or however they market. They've got a huge presence. And I've dealt with those. I've been the guy to go and fix their mistakes before because they're under their warranty still, but they can't get them to go out there, and they're giving them the runaround. And so that's something that I think that I really take pride in, is the fact that, look, we're here. We're not a fly-by-night. We're not storm chasers. We live down the street. We're here. We're staying here. If there's a problem, you call us. We'll fix it. Don't worry. You live your life. Let me be the roof guy for forever. You be the raise your kids and go to work, whatever. Like, live your life. Yeah. Let me handle my stuff. And I try to quarterback, and do all the heavy lifting, all things trades for all of my clients. And so, and I think we've been, well, I know we've been extremely successful at doing it that way. So.
I love that. Yeah. Man, your answers are just flowing so nicely into my next questions. It's beautiful. In one sentence, how would you define superior customer service?
In one sentence?
One sentence.
Doing what you say you're going to do. Easy.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, that's your book right there.
That's it. There it is. Yeah. There's the title or subtitle. Yeah.
Yeah. And then next question, and this is actually last question here, but why should homeowners or building owners work with your company?
Well, I think that they should. Well, I can answer that in two different ways. First off, there's no one in the Phoenix metropolitan area that I'm aware of, and I'm aware of a whole bunch. But there's no one in the Phoenix metro area that does as good of a job, specifically relating to the trade of roofing, as we do, who's also extremely well versed in all things insurance restoration and what the insurance company has to pay per the policy. The other thing is, we've talked quite a bit about insurance since we've been on this, so let's move it to the retail space as it pertains to cash, to cash jobs. Okay, specifically to cash jobs. What we can offer that I don't think. Okay, so let me give you a scenario. If I'm charging, or rather, if I'm bidding a shingle job or a tile job, generally speaking, if I'm in a pool of contestants, right, estimators, bidders, or whatever for a specific job, and I'm up against your you know what? I almost named one, but I'm not going to. Here's what I'll say is the big roofing companies that you see, and by big, I don't necessarily mean they're doing more volume than we are, or they're more reputable than we are. I just mean that they've been established, since the 80s or 90s, and they spend money on advertising on billboards on the freeways. These guys, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those guys are going to do the same service that I'm going to do. And by service, I mean they're gonna install with the same products. They're gonna have the same warranty that I'm gonna have. The difference, though, is that the customer service and the warranty that we provide in terms of actually picking up our phones and mobilizing our office to get somebody out there to administer the repairs to the roof, and then if there's interior damage and so on, we're gonna be. I bet money. I do the Pepsi challenge with any roofing contractor in Phoenix on that stuff, and I know that we're going to come out on top. Furthermore, for the same thing, let's just say that our service is the same, right? The customer service, everything else is the same, which I don't think that's the case. I think I would beat them, but let's just say it is for the sake of conversation. Where they where they can't beat me is on price. So I basically will take my hard costs, labor and material, I'll factor it out, and then I'll add a profit margin. And if my profit margin is 30%, that's 10% overhead and 20% profit. My competitors on a job like that, their profit's going to be more like 60%, doing the same thing I'm doing.
Interesting.
And so that's a huge thing in itself. I can be much more competitive because of the volume that we do. We and the relationship that we have with our supply company here in the Phoenix metro area, I can be far more competitive on my pricing than 90% of the other roofing contractors, short of finding a guy, no offense, who's unlicensed or some just a paid laborer from front of Home Depot or something. Short of an unskilled laborer, you're not going to be able to get a better price either.
Wow. That's
So it's almost
awesome.
it's almost like a J.C. Penney price for a freaking Nordstrom service,
I love that. That should be chapter 1 of your book. Love it. Well, that's great. I love the services that you're providing and at such a great rate for these homeowners in your area. That's just fabulous.
Absolutely. We're excited about
And
it.
yes, and that is number one of the reasons why we have chosen Phoenix Roofing Contractors as the our club roofer of the month here at Roofers Coffee Shop. So thank you guys, and thank you for coming on and chatting with me today. Do you have any last words in regards to this exciting Roofer of the Month program?
No, I don't think I have much more to add. I think we've been pretty good your questions were great, and I was able to elaborate to some extent on some of them, and I think that we've covered everything. Thank you so much for having us and featuring us as your monthly, top roofers. I really appreciate it, and I'm really excited about anything that comes from it.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jeff, and keep it up. Keep up the good work down there in Arizona.
I'll
Um,
try.
Good, yeah. We love you guys, and we will see you during our coffee break. And for the listeners out there, we'll see you next month with March's Roofer of the Month.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan.